Yes, greetings again and the best of salutations. I just sitting here thinking for a minute in regards of a book that I was looking through, A Theory of Justice. I was talking to a good brother, and I know him over 40 years. He's talking about how certain standards are set for the well-being of that particular group. And I wrote in my book, Overcoming Being Mentally Enslaved and Caged in a Rage, a personal quest of finding resolve into complete civility. If anything, we need to be civil. Page 85, it goes on to say, what we term as good, all that which produces pleasing and gratifying sensations. We know that, through media, press, and television, for the most part, it's about, sensationalism. It arouses your desire at a base level, and then and that which it promises it promises you a delusion. Yeah, so people become really mentally incapacitated, and their judgment becomes impaired. So we see the mental condition of many in the society in which we live. But yeah, so and then there are those who will offer you false promises, and what that does, it creates what is called fraudulent behavior, and that's fatalism, and people think, becomes very pessimist rather than optimistic, and when you think the worst, because the media, press, and television, for the most part, they entertain you with something that is primarily very negative, because negative is to negate access to, and that's what I really want to share, is when it comes to the institutions which teach people to have access to wealth, and you can determine that by the distribution of that wealth. But yes, I go on in that book. It says that that which furthers. Well, let's stop right there. We look at the political institutions, how they were established and created. Of course, policy is driven by interest, and you cannot sacrifice truth for any interest. Only interest can be sacrificed for truth. Look at the social economy, the religious economy, the educational economy, and the spiritual economy. And we seem to be entertained and drugged and addicted to the political, social, religious, educational, and spiritual economy. Which one is best exemplify the fairness when it comes to the distribution process of wealth, and which one reinforces the accessibility to wealth. And I didn't mention also family, but yeah, so and I go on to say in that book that which furthers us physically, mentally, psychologically, and socially, we term good, the term that we term good. So the so-called moral good, as it is termed, is it is emotional and intellectual satisfaction. It is emotional and intellectual satisfaction. A person, for religious or other reasons, religious, political, social, educational, or spiritual, establish a code of behavior which they think is necessary for their moral or spiritual well-being. Remember, we must not allow any thought, philosophy, psychology, nor ideology dogmatically be used to manipulate us as a humanity, manipulate our circumstances due to ignorance. And ignorance is a result of hostility, as if there's nothing else to be learned, is also the blind side of life, in our ignorance, which makes us to become enemies of each other. So we must not allow anything to put us in a position that we become enemies of each other when it comes to the development of our intellect for the betterment of humanity. These institutions that have been created, which comes out of the attitude or a thinking, and how they deny people or creates the avenue and the way to access to wealth. And when that is cut off, when it's not fair, we see people will naturally rise up and resist it. Labor versus capitalists. Yes. Laborers. The harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few.